Good evening.
Hello.
How are you doing, mate?
I am doing just perfectly. I'll tell you what a great show this is that we've created here. You know,
Well, we're expanding, and I don't just
we
mean
are,
our
yeah.
waistlines. I mean,
What are you on about? I've got the six-pack of, Brad Pitt, already.
do you remember the Dukes of Hazzard?
No, a bit
Oh,
before my time, to be
right. For
honest.
those of you the older ones of the two of you that are watching, the Dukes of Hazzard. We doubled. We're up to 4. The Dukes of Hazzard was a thing back. I think it was the 80s. It was about some country folk in America. They drove the General Lee, which was their car, all decked up as in the southern USA. And Daisy Duke was like the female interest. She was the sister of the two brothers.
What,
And I don't mean
Margot
that
Robbie?
interest, yeah.
Okay.
And fuck, she was hot. And they've just look, I can't remember, it was on TikTok, it came up. No, it was on The Sun. I think it was on The Sun. And they said, this is what she looks like now, unrecognisable. Now, normally you're thinking, 39 years ago, it is going to be unrecognisable. My God, I look like Twiggy next to her. Now, look, I know I'm
It's
fat.
already taken a bloody downturn.
Oh, it's starting off at the bottom and it's going nowhere. This show,
exactly. It's just what you call it, staying there, simmering.
Yeah, if anybody's watching, we set our sights for we set our boundaries very low, and we very rarely come up to them. Standards.
Exactly.
That's the word I was looking for.
Yeah, exactly.
But look, I'm of a certain size, right? Mm-hmm. And I do know, I got a phone call earlier from the Michelin man who was asking for some of his weight back. But but I dressed appropriately. So Daisy Duke, now you've seen me. I'm a chunky guy. I will not deny that. I'm a chunky guy.
Some people might like a bit of chunk,
Well, exactly. Yes, cuddly. Some people would call it. She made me, like I say, she was. If you take me and double the size, and she's wearing the tightest top going, and the tightest bottoms going. I mean, she bent over. I thought, well, at least I got somewhere to park my bike. I mean, she was absolutely, and I'm like, dressed appropriately, A, for your age, but B, for your size. Jesus.
Yeah, but she was Daisy Duke.
She was, and I've got to say, back in the day, there was a couple of, what we call, midweek semis. We like to call them these days.
Midweek semis. We're not talking FA Cup ties or Carabao Cups.
I'll leave that up to your imagination. But, she's. No, I think she's let herself go because she's on a bit. But I'm just thinking, look, love, dress appropriately, please. But look, this is a sports show. If you are tuned in expecting two men from the pub, we've been barred. So we're two men from the home. We have to thank the home for letting us come on film here, don't we?
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, the funny farm,
Yeah, we're not allowed in the same room, as you can see. We have to be kept separate. And most of that is down to the fact that I've got a restraining order on Craig.
Talk about yourself.
But look, we're back on Saturday morning at 9 o'clock with Talking Balls, two men down the pub.
And we will be at the Cherry Fox, won't we, as well?
We will be at the Cherry Fox. Yes, I might have to have a morning pint. But there's no Soccer AM on now, so come and give us a watch. But we just thought we'd do this. It's past the watershed. And can I just say,
I'm Tim Lovejoy, by the way. I'm Tim Lovejoy. He's him. No, I'm still getting it wrong. Him
Helen
over there.
Chamberlain. Helen Chamberlain. Now she was another one.
Was it Tubbs? Tubbs or something?
Tubbs. Don't you dare. Tubbs was a hero, but
Tubbs is a hero, actually.
Yeah, he is. Yeah. Look, you know, anybody that watches these shows regularly will know that what Craig is like. And I did put out a warning on the post saying, you know, that
at the end of the day,
if you're coming in to watch it, I think don't think. Well, I'm prepared. Let me just say, like, here we go. Get nice and nice and comfy. I could be here a while. Oh, hang on. Hang on. Got me pillow here. Let me just get.
Got your piss sack?
No, I've been. Right.
Well, if anybody's ever watched Bo Selector, they'll know what it is. Forgot me piss sack.
That's another one I can't. We've got totally different senses of humour.
Well, to be honest, I don't think so. Although saying that, something, you know, Rishi the Fishy.
Oh God, don't go there. Hang on.
Rishi the Fishy.
6.5 minutes, everybody, before we mention Rishi the Fishy.
Rishi the Fishy. Rishi the Fishy, and the bus stop as well. That's always a good one as well.
Look, should we talk?
I'm looking for the bus.
Should we talk football?
From where? My house. Where's your house?
You've lost me again. You've lost me again. Should we talk football?
I'll show it. I'll show everybody it one day. Nobody really.
Yeah, but last time you did that, you got arrested.
Not at the bus stop.
you were down the park that time, but you know.
Free ride in a police car.
Yes, indeed. Along with Beryl, whatever she was called.
Oh dear. I wonder if I don't think Mavis was very happy.
Mavis, that was it. I couldn't think of a name earlier. Yes.
Mavis. Like I said, Beryl was my nan's name.
Nothing wrong with a Beryl.
There is nothing wrong with a Beryl. You know, they've got Beryl bikes haven't they? Down here. You know, the scooters.
Well, apparently your nan was also an easy ride.
Don't go there. But
I went. Look, you opened the door.
Awful.
I went there.
You went through it. Yes, I know. Yeah, you
it.
Always do. You always do.
Should we get off your nan? Because to be honest with you, I'm not into necrophilia.
Oh, Jesus Christ, Chris!
I tell you what. No. I just find the whole thing dead boring.
Do you know what? He's one of those comedians like Frankie Boyle, where they come out with stuff and you're like, fuck, I shouldn't come out with that sort of stuff.
Who, me?
Yes, you.
I think
you always bloody have done.
The fact that you called me a comedian, I just can't be talking to me, surely.
Yeah. No. I'm a comedian. I tell you what, you always like Rishi the Fishy and the bus stop. And I'm going to play it to everybody one day.
We'll talk sport because that's what we're here for.
Everybody's bloody here for.
Yes,
you just come out with a load of shits to start off with.
Excuse me, Rishi the Fishy.
No, you come out with a load of shit.
Well, we are talking shit.
Well, yes, we are. That's what you do. That's what you do quite well.
Look, you've done a show on David Coote.
Yes.
On your channel. And can I just say welcome everybody, whether you are watching by Up the Cherries in all departments, got it right.
You nearly said clarets there.
I'm not a Burnley fan.
I'm not a Burnley fan. We've had Scott Parker. He's gone now. We don't want him again.
If you hadn't said anything, nobody would have noticed.
Scott the Binman Parker is gone.
He got me at it. Up the Cherries in all departments, or Leicester till I die. Welcome both. But look, up the Cherries in all departments. You've done a program on Davy Coote.
Yes.
And go and check that out on the UTICD channel.
UTCIAD. IAD, you missed the I.
Fucking hell. Or LTID, which is a hell of a lot easier to remember. Earlier on, I actually had Keith Hackett, the ex-Premier League and
Yes.
UEFA referee.
Mm.
More interestingly, ex-PGMOL chief executive, who of course are in charge of the referees.
Well, let's be honest, he'd be doing a lot better fucking job than Howard Webb is.
Well, that we did discuss Howard Webb.
Yes.
We discussed VAR. We discussed a lot of things, and I'm just this is actually in Football
Margot Robbie?
Insider 24 no Insider Footballer 247 or Football Insider. Davy Coote to be banned for life from Premier League. Now I said, and we agreed on an awful lot actually. His actual words were, "He's gone. Should be banned for life. He's thrown away his career." That was coming from Keith Hackett. There is. I was a bit torn because you know when you see these like people that have stood as a
Yeah.
counsellor in the 30s and suddenly they found a tweet from when they were 14 saying something racist or sexist.
Yeah.
That's one thing, and what you say as a teenager is completely different. You mature and you grow up. But this guy's doing the job at the moment of being a referee, and yes, you may not like Klopp, you may not like Cooper, you may not like, and Fergie, all these different managers, but as a referee, you can't be seen to say that on video.
Yeah, I think, I'm going to reiterate what I said the other day. And actually, I'm going to add a little bit more to it because there is this cancel culture at the moment. And I was quite surprised. There's a lady who, and I know this isn't going into politics, it is, around politics, but this point that I'm making isn't politics. So there's a lady who works at the Telegraph. I don't know what this tweet says. I don't really care what this tweet says because it's from 2013. But supposedly the police turned up at her door
You're
because the
ignoring me,
police.
aren't you?
Yeah, because the tweet was
Yes.
supposedly a bit. I don't know what it says. It could be
No.
really, really bad. It could be minor. I could not give two shits about it
Yeah.
personally. However, um, again, it is one of those things that whatever you put onto social media or when you're recorded nowadays, like any of the videos that we do as content creators, Chris, they can be found, and there might be the minor thing that back in 2021, which is when I started my channel, or a little bit earlier for you, of course, 1970 when you started your channel. I wasn't even here then. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. You're just an old fart. But what I'm trying, what I'm trying to make.
Only your mother had swallowed.
You're awful. But what I'm trying to say here is whatever you put onto social media is there for life.
Yeah, yeah,
And like that tweet from 2013, if that tweet wasn't made, and don't give a shit what it says or
no.
anything, it doesn't bother me. I'm not really into all that bollocks. But that is there for life. And there will be people that will play on that, as like this David Coote situation. Now, a referee has to be impartial. It doesn't matter which team they support. They shouldn't referee the teams that they support or teams that could have an influence on that. So, for example, I
I'll
said Mark
actually come back to
Housey.
you on that. That's a very
Yeah,
good point, and I will come back to you.
yeah.
That was discussed. Yeah.
I'll carry on for the moment. But like
Yeah, no,
Mark
no, no, do.
Housey,
Yeah, do. Yeah.
He's a QPR fan. Now, he wouldn't be able to referee a game between QPR and Leeds United because, to be honest, he'd give QPR a couple of penalties. Wow, that's what people would think, if it did happen. Mark's
Sorry,
not like that, but
just to insert there that Mark House's daughter has got a picture of Man United players on a bedroom wall.
I know,
So that's how I know that.
Mark Housey himself, he's not
Yeah.
a corrupt official, but some people, if say for example we gave a penalty to QPR and was allowed to referee his own team, they would go, "Oh, that's corrupt,"
Yeah.
like they
Yeah.
do. Also, if he was, QPR are in a relegation battle at the moment with a number of sides down there. Luton's one of them, I know. I think Plymouth, Sheffield Wednesday, I think, are down there, aren't they? I haven't really looked at the championship table. That's bad a bit, isn't it? But there's a number of teams down there. Now, say for Portsmouth. So, say for example, comes to the final game of the season, and QPR are playing, let's say, Sheffield Wednesday. Sheffield Wednesday are safe. QPR beat them, and Portsmouth are outside of that relegation zone going into that game, and they're playing Plymouth. And if, say for example, in some people's minds, if that referee refereed that game, I'm using Mark Housey because at the end of the day, he was always very fair. He
Can I
was.
just say, by the way, mate, the show's only been allowed 90 minutes.
Oh, Jesus.
shorten your stories down.
But what?
Basically, you can't referee your own teams, is what you're trying to say.
Exactly. That's the whole point I'm making. All games of influence. Now the problem is David Coote has put into people's minds that he is a corrupt official. He's put that into people's minds. He might not be a corrupt official. I don't believe he is a corrupt official. I don't believe any referee is a corrupt official, but there could well be some out there. But the problem is now is if he's refereeing a game which influences Liverpool and it goes against Liverpool, that will be looked into. Of course, the comments he made there, I don't think he means that about Jurgen Klopp. But of course,
I think he
calling
does.
somebody a nationality, a
But I think the
nationality
thing is, I think he's
wanker or
allowed.
something.
He's
Yeah,
allowed to have those thoughts.
yeah.
There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Where he's come, and he can say to his friends that because you're just saying something, it's word of mouth. But
He
it's
needs
been.
better friends. He needs better friends because at the end of
Oh,
the
yes,
day,
he does. Yeah, he
because
does. As the
the
Daily
guy
Mail
who's
said,
done this is a twat.
yeah, they said, it's his ex-friend, as the Daily Mail said.
Yes.
But trying to bring this round to a shorter answer, it's,
You're used
I've
to
got my
short
blanket
things.
here ready, mate.
You
He
missed
can
that
have those
completely, didn't
thoughts.
you?
I thought that when Doug, and thank you, Doug, for sending me the video, I went back and said, well, I agree with everything he said. I'm not particularly a fan of Jurgen Klopp as a manager, as a person. He makes me laugh in the press conferences, but when you play him, anyway, I'm turning it to you. So he can have those thoughts. That's no problem whatsoever. He can say those thoughts. That is fine. Just do not write them down. Have them videoed. This is the modern day. And what I said, back before, as you said, I'm old, so back before there was social media or TikTok or YouTube or any of these things, what you said, who the fuck remembers? Who's bothered?
Well,
But these days, and it's not like this is the first time. He knew he was being recorded. He was showing his phone to the camera, so he knew. And he must, people have been caught out before with it.
the second bit, that come out, which was him putting some Daz or icing flour up his nose.
Yeah.
Let's call it that. Let's say he's addicted to Daz. Daz, the washing liquid? No, it's clove detergent stuff in it.
Washing powder.
Washing powder, yeah. So he's putting that up
I
his
do know
nose.
how washing machines work. You don't have to do that.
I don't know because I knew that you are a bit prehistoric, but yeah. but
I'm still doing that through the old mangle.
but the thing is, that is somebody crying out for help. That one is, yes, I think he needs to be taken off the panel for that. But
Mm.
if it was just that video of him putting something up his nose, then of course that is something that I think he would be able to come back from quite easily.
Yeah. But the
What?
company that you work for currently,
Mhm.
if you went on and you were sat with me, we were down the pub on Saturday morning, and you're there, and you've got the phone in front of us, and you're going, "Oh, the fucking company I work for, they were pissed awful. They don't do this, they don't do that, and the boss is a complete wanker." I mean, you'd be sacked straight away.
Oh gosh, yeah,
Quite rightly
exactly,
so. And
exactly,
that's
and
what
it's.
basically. And again, you don't have to like your employees or people that you
Mm,
work with, and that's all that Jurgen Klopp is.
mm.
I'm sorry, I don't see a problem with him having those thoughts, but you cannot come out with them. Apparently, according to Yahoo News today,
You have thoughts
um,
about Daisy Duke
yeah,
still?
David Coote attempted to organise Travelodge drug party during Manchester City match.
Mm,
I don't. And the funny thing is, Keith Hackett, when he was PGMOL, he wanted to come in, and he brought two things back to the PGMOL from, well, when he was
yeah,
refereeing, from when he was going abroad because he was doing Europe and what have you, and that was no betting, which obviously they introduced straight away, and he wanted
yeah.
drugs testing for referees because I think they said there was a German referee that was going to jail for taking bribes, and apparently he was really out on it. So, and they wouldn't do that, and they're still refusing to do drug testing. The only thing I've got with drug testing, mate, see if you agree with me on this, is when you take a substance as an athlete, it's
Mm,
supposed to increase your performance. No
yeah.
way is David Coote taking any drugs before he's refereeing any match because his
No,
performances have been shit.
and do you know what? Simon Jordan actually made a good point with regards to this.
Hmm.
Players are tested for performance enhancing drugs. They're not tested for recreational drugs. Now, the white Daz-like powder is a recreational drug. It is something that people will take on the piss, I guess. I guess that's what they do. And
Don't pretend you don't know.
stupid. It's stupid thing, to I think for anybody to do. But the thing is, he's coming back to it. His performance wouldn't have improved because he did that. You know,
No,
um, I think, yeah, I think to be honest, he could come back from that. He was crying out for help. Like you say, yeah, if somebody, said something wrong about their employers or somebody connected to their clients or whatever, then that is a very, very serious subject. And that first video is the one that I think he's going to get caught for and lose his job over. But I think
I,
he's crying for help, and I think
yeah.
the PGMOL have a duty now to look
They have a
after him.
duty of care, and
Yeah,
they haven't come out and
they
said
haven't thrown
anything
him under
because
the bus,
they're
really.
looking into it, and I
Yeah.
accept that. If it takes 5 months, he isn't going to.
Mm.
Whilst this is being investigated, he isn't going to referee a match, so there's no worry
Oh
with that
no.
at all. They have a duty of care to look after him, but he has a duty of care to his employees, and they're not just. Paid 35 quid a week, and they're also butchers and bakers. They're properly paid money. They're up
Yeah.
in hotels overnight before games. They're coached to the station, and he cannot come back from this as
No.
a
Not.
referee. His
I
career
think.
as a referee is over now.
Could he go
Oh,
down the pecking order, or
well,
could he go abroad to do it? Because then, that might be an avenue. I think, I think it might be a
I
good
don't think
thing.
he should. I don't
I
think
think,
he should. I don't
but
think he'll
then,
go abroad because UEFA have suspended him as well.
mm,
But Richard Keys has come out and said that he should be able to referee in the EFL. Now, I am sorry, and you've been in the EFL not so in a distant past. We were
yeah,
there last season, and the
mm,
shit referees that we had down there were referees that had come down from above for whatever reason,
yeah,
whether that was because they'd been told they didn't do the job right that week, and or they were maybe coming back from fitness or whatever. But why should clubs in the Championship and the EFLs 1 and 2, why should they have the shit that the Premier League dump on them? Because the referees that we had last season that were good were the Championship referees, not the Premier League ones that came down. They were the bad ones.
Yeah. To be honest, I completely agree with you on that. And I think, some of the referees, that I really, one referee I really like is Sam Allison. I think he's a very, very good referee. Why is he not given more of a chance in the top flight? Because I think, I think David Coote, I didn't rate him really before this. And of course, there might have been other factors involved. Well, it shows it probably bloody was, but at the end of the day, if somebody's taking the Daz-like powder, it's or icing flour, shall we call it, then there could be things that are affecting their judgment. But what's Richard Keys a bloody know? Richard
Well,
Keys. I
to be
did. You
honest
know
with
what? I
you,
quite like it when I went over to the UAE, went to Abu Dhabi. I did watch. I did watch. Oh, by the way, if anybody's watched it on my channel, I've got something called Cherry Abroad. It's actually introduced by Andy Hodgson, and do you know what? It is one of the funniest. Have you never seen it? Have you never seen the intro? Because it does actually mention Burnley in it.
I'm not. I'm a Leicester fan.
I know, but that's Clarets, isn't it? You keep going on about fucking Clarets, and Scott Parker's there now, so you might want to watch it.
What
But coming,
Richard?
but
Sorry, carry on, mate.
Richard Keys actually is a very, very good presenter, but he's the one that has got done for something,
Well,
that
hang on,
is.
allegedly, because let's be careful here, because it was actually Andy Gray that got done,
Yeah, it was.
and
Yes,
Richard
it was.
Keys resigned when Andy Gray was sacked.
Yeah, but
So we're
can you
not.
not remember his the saying? You smash it. You smash it. You imagine Chris hanging out the back of it. That's what he come out with, wasn't it? I've just replaced the player's name, who was mentioned, with
Well,
your name.
yeah, I mean,
Daisy Duke.
but it
Hanging
does
out the
smack of me of somebody who has been what's the word I'm looking for? Somebody who's been naughty himself,
Yes.
trying to defend somebody who's been naughty.
Yes. I think
The thing is,
there should
even
be a second chance. I think
no,
there should
no,
be.
there shouldn't.
I
No,
think they should.
no.
To be honest,
All
you
right,
have
let's say,
to
okay,
give
let
and
me put this
forget.
to you then. Let me put this to you, Craig. Right,
Go on.
you are playing, let's say Nottingham Forest, right? Two teams,
Yes.
nothing to do with David Coote. And David Coote is allocated, the first match back, he's allocated that game to referee. You
Hmm.
claim for a penalty, he doesn't give it. You're going to be accusing, oh, he's on the white stuff again.
Oh, that's going to be a song anyway in the thing.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, do you want him back refereeing your games? Because you will be analysing, as they already gone back and have analysed every single Liverpool game. I'm sorry, what you can't do is if you slag your boss off or you slag your work colleague off,
Yeah,
and then expect
exactly.
to go back and work with in the same team, not necessarily in the same in the same department, in the same bigger team. Yeah, that isn't unattainable. That
Yeah,
can't.
completely. Yeah, completely agree with that. Yeah, completely agree with that. And let's be honest, the shoe. If the shoe was on the foot, where I was the one who was abused by somebody at work, um, contains nuts.
Good
The
evening,
squirrel.
Matthew. How are you doing?
The squirrel had some nuts, didn't it? But the thing is, like we were saying, um, oh, where's my train of thought? Yeah, yeah, nuts. But what I was saying here is, say
Just
for
say it,
say
please.
say, say
I'm,
for
I'm
example,
growing a
oh,
beard.
say say for example, right? If I was the one who was abused online, somebody put a video up and said, "That Frank, he's a right wanker, he is." You know, firstly, they'd probably be right, but secondly, but secondly, I wouldn't have, you know, in me to go, yeah, nice person, let's go work with them. You'd be pretty pissed off.
And let's say you you do abuse me anyway, but let's say you abuse me on here
Yeah,
and
but
you were
you
effing
love
and
it. You
blinding.
love it. You abuse me. You
I
abuse
love a
me.
bit of abuse. Go, you
Yeah,
go for
yeah.
it, mate. You go for
We
it.
just abuse each other.
You do. I've still got the cane marks on my arse though, so you should be a little bit more gentle next time. But no, let's say,
You
let's say
don't
you
pass
come
off for
on here.
Margot Robbie.
Let's say you come on here and you're having a go at me and you're calling me this and calling me that and having a go, and I'm
Yeah,
thinking I'm never going to have him on one of my shows again. And then I
yeah.
talk to Doug and I talk to Melina and I talk to, you know, all these other Rich and all these other content creators, and they may go, yeah, I don't want him back on my channel either, if that's what he's going to be like.
Yeah,
Do you know what I'm
exactly.
saying?
Yeah,
So
it does
I don't
pass. It
think
does
there's
pass around.
any way. And I think the other problem is as well, the PGMO are up a cul-de-sac without a ginnel to get out. I don't know,
I'm
just made
worried
that.
where you're going with that. Go up a cul-de-sac. Oh, good. Chris is, wow.
You don't know what
Thinking
a
of,
ginnel is, do you?
he's thinking of Daisy Duke again. Oh,
Hey,
Chris
tell you
with
what,
Daisy Duke.
if I was up Daisy Duke's cul-de-sac, I wouldn't be looking for a ginnel to get out, I'll tell you.
Bit of a
Anyway,
tight turn now.
sorry?
So you'll be a bit of a tight turn.
Well, tighter the better. That's all we can say. Evening,
And
Daisy, if you were
so
watching, by the way.
it
But
has
look,
gone downhill very quickly.
my point has gone out of my mind. What were we talking about
We
before
was
that?
talking about David Coote and putting
Yes,
Daz
I
up
know
his
we're talking
nose.
about David Cooper. What did I say before you got me onto the thought of Daisy Duke?
Oh, see, he's loving it, isn't he? He's loving
Says
it. He's
you
going,
with Margaret Robbie. We just lost. Look, talking about that, we just lost 4 viewers.
oh, fucking hell.
We only had
Thanks,
5
everyone.
in.
Bye.
No, I don't.
Oh, dear,
I
oh, dear.
think I just there's no way that he can come back from this because whoever I think that was what I was going to put. That was the point I was going to make. I bet
Go
even
on.
Matthew's gone now. That was the point I was going to make. Right. Okay. If the PGML they're up this cul-de-sac, they've got nowhere to go because if they give him a second chance,
Up the
then
cul-de-sac.
they will get the wrath of every club out there. They can't be seen to give him a second chance. They've backed themselves into this corner, or they've been backed into this corner.
Into a corner. He's going to go down the back alley in a minute.
He's already there, mate, if he's called David Coote, allegedly. But look, no, you know what I'm saying? I'm trying to make a serious point here. That if the PGML let him off, everybody's going to turn around and I'll be at the front of that queue going, one rule for one rule for the other.
Yeah,
You
completely
know,
agree.
if a player comes out and says David Coote was a shit referee in that game, he can't referee, you know, a piss up in a brewery. Or if Jurgen Klopp was to come out and have said, I don't want David Coote anywhere near Anfield ever again, he's a shit referee, blah, 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 they would get fined within a week by the FA for daring to criticise the referee. And yet here is one of their own calling Jurgen Klopp the C word on a video. All right, he could be drunk, he could be on substance, it isn't AI. He has got to go 100%.
To be honest, that wasn't the worst of it, actually. You know, the C word was, let's be honest, that word is disgusting. But on the same side, it is used, it is in the English dictionary now. It's a shit word to use. You know, shit's a bit milder. So I chose to use it. But the C word is a bad word, but it is in the English dictionary. It's the using the nationality and then the C word. Now the thing is there wasn't so much hoo-ha, so to speak. There wasn't so much hoo-ha because I guess, but you could, if they used a different nationality with the C word, it would be could even be viewed even worse. by out there. It could be blown up even worse.
Why?
You know,
That is the
it
woke.
shouldn't. It shouldn't be.
That is the woke. It's like when the guy was on GMTV the morning after we played Germany the last time, and he went mad. Oh, they were booing the German national anthems and they were singing songs about the war. It's fucking football. We're not at
Oh,
a
you know what?
10-year-old ballet show here. It's football. And if you can't call the Germans something, then I'm sorry. Get off, go and fuck off and go to
Do you
another
know
country.
what? I actually,
I'm not just saying Germans. I'm saying if we said it about the French, the Italians, or any other country.
Completely, yeah, I do agree with that. There is some level of banter, and in fact, I've spoken to a German person about this. You know, believe it or not, I do know a couple of German people, and to be honest, they actually find it funny. You know, they find it funny. It's a part of their
Apparently, they're very good
history.
at hanging wallpaper, the Germans.
I went out with a German girl once, years and years and years and years ago. But the thing is, you know, even then, you know, she said, and you know, friends have said since who are German, have said it's a dark part of their history that they don't like. They don't
No.
like, you know, what happened in World War II. Who would like, you know, Adolf Hitler? Or, you know,
No,
never,
I
never did I
accept
think I'd say Adolf Hitler on bloody Bournemouth show,
that. No.
but here we go. There you are. That's where we are. But the thing is just finishing my point here, is they don't like that part of the history. But, you know, England fans singing there was 10 German bombers in the air and you know the RAF from England shot them down. You know, it's kind of like how they explained it was like it's just a song. Now there will be some people out there that go, oh, that's really bad, I really don't like that song, and they're entitled to that opinion. But the thing is, and this is a big, I'm on my soapbox now, but the thing is that song, you know, the people who are German that I know don't like that part of their history.
Well, of
You
course
know,
they don't.
they
No.
reject it. They reject
Mm.
it. They remember it. I think it's important that they remember it. You know what? You know, just going a little bit off subject here.
You going off
One
subject? No way.
one place I'd really like to visit, although it's a bit of a. And I was speaking to a chap on the train to Paris about this, and he was talking about you know how he had been round, and it was a very interesting conversation. He said, you know, how he'd been round to all these you know stuff to do with World War II, and he'd been to Auschwitz and Birkenau, and he mentioned it is horrific, but it's a place that should be there and should be visited because it shouldn't ever be repeated again. And do you know what? He's got his spot on. And you know those songs that England fans sing. You know, the German friends that I know are like, it's just a
If
song.
we
It's just a
were
song.
to,
They sing stuff about England. You know,
I've got on my Facebook page,
yeah,
erasing the past will not change the future, but
yeah,
remembering
great.
it might. And you cannot. It happened, and you
Mm,
know, look, it's football, it's banter. I mean, football came out of people wanting to fight each other, and our team
mm,
hates your team. We want to beat your team. We're not there to have coffee and cakes at half time with each other, and
no,
pass each other cupcakes and go,
I know
"Hello,
it's
darling, you're lovely." But but there's just we can't banter anymore. The woke generation, and look, you're a lot younger than me.
mm,
I'm in my 60s. You're in your 50s.
fuck
And,
off. 50,
well, how
50.
old are you, by the way? Sorry, I've forgotten.
I'm 39.
39. So
39, a
you're
spring
39.
chicken. Spring
You're
chicken compared to
39.
you.
I'm 63. We're different generations.
Mm,
And what I find acceptable and what you find acceptable are two
yeah.
different things. And quite right, they should be, because things move on. I feel different to my
Mm,
dad. And that's all the part of us
yeah.
eagerly developing and what have you. And it's like people say to me, and I was watching a thing on Jim Davidson. And I went to see Jim Davidson, and what I liked about him was that he wasn't woke. And when people go like, "Oh, there used to be a couple of programs, Till Death Us Do Part and Love Thy Neighbour."
I was gonna say Till Death Us Do Part.
Which
I've actually watched it because my dad really likes it.
Well,
And
the
to
thing
be
is,
honest,
let me finish. Let me finish. And the thing is, if you actually sit and watch it, and this is why the woke wankers don't understand what's going on, because the white guy always ended up looking the dick. The black guy always came out on top. Can I say black guy? I don't know if I can. And it was the same with Till Death Us Do Part. And that was the whole idea of it. But it was different times. And look, if you don't like something, don't read it, don't listen to it, don't watch it. If you haven't got the brains to put the book or the paper down, turn the radio off, turn the TV off, then I'm sorry, you're not even worth thinking about.
It's like Only Fools and Horses, and I absolutely love Only Fools and Horses. Believe it or not, I was watching a couple last night, and that's brilliant, Doug. That's brilliant. I was watching, a couple of episodes. The one I watched was the one with Batman and Robin, Heroes and Villains, and Miami Twice, the one where they carry on, you're going to
I've no idea. Carry on.
Colombians. Where's the Colombians?
The more you do that, I still have no idea what it is. Just move on.
You've seen the Colombians. We're fucking Colombians. And of course, Del Boy's gone in, and I've just ruined it, haven't I?
I've still no idea, mate. I've still no idea.
Everybody after this show, go watch. It is on Now TV. You can find it. It's called Miami Twice. It's an Only Fools and Horses episode, and it is fucking brilliant. But coming to my point, because those episodes don't.
I could die in the next 20 years. Please get to your point.
Those episodes actually aren't actually the ones that I was going to refer to, because the early episodes I've seen,
so why mention them?
Because I'm painting a picture of how
41 minutes we're into this show.
That show was brilliant. That show was brilliant.
Don't paint the picture, just get to the point.
Shut the fuck up for a minute and let me finish. but the thing is, looking at the early shows, I've seen both the edited versions and the unedited versions of those. Now, the thing is, do you know what? I want to go and see that, Doug. I really do want to go and see that. But the thing is those early unedited versions have lots of stuff that you would see in Till Death Do Us Part, and there is a lot of jokes about black people, and it is just doing that. It is, and of course the BBC have cut bits of it out because of the culture. Even 20 years ago, some of the jokes were probably like, can't really use them. But you take the best comedians, you take somebody like Sacha Baron Cohen, Borat.
I thought you said best.
Borat. Now Borat is running around, America, and is doing, all these jokes and all that, and his songs about, Jewish people and things like that. People, why he's done that is, firstly, Sacha Baron Cohen is Jewish, but secondly, why he's done it in that way isn't for everybody to go, oh yeah, Borat, I agree with him. Yeah, I agree with him. It's because it's reverse psychology. It's a case of, it's fucking wrong what he's coming out with, so you laugh, but that's the point. Is he's making you think that, when he's singing to all these Americans, and Americans deep south are singing it back to him, but it's a song, Throw the Jew Down the Well, and it is to actually make you think and be horrified, like, what the fuck is this? And that is the whole point of that sort of comedy. It's that reverse psychology that it is bad, and that is actually something that's really, really good, and what comedy can actually do for.
But like we said, with Till Death Us Do Part with Love Thy Neighbour. They were exactly the same. Right, we're going to move on because we've been here 44 minutes, and I'm going to need a shit.
Do you know what? I'm just going to do one last bit. You know, Bo Selector.
I don't like Bo Selector.
Oh, Bo Selector.
No. Right, anyway, I can do that. He can't.
Believe it or not, Bo Selector.
Every time he says Bo Selector, he's getting kicked out. He can't put himself back in.
It was taken off air. The reason being is because they said the character of Mel B was racist. Now the thing is like Avid Merian actually said, or Lee Francis, that's his real name, it's because he admired Mel B. That's why he did it. And Mel B even, you know, at the end of the day, it was nothing. It was a character to prove a point that what was wrong.
Well, we're going to move on now because we've done racism to its death, and you've mentioned every comedian I can't stand.
The woke culture is going to be on here later on, and they're going to go. Oh,
right, 5 points. 5 talking points as the Premier League returns this weekend. Yes, folks, this is a football show. I know it's hard to believe.
Shit for a while though.
And if you do like Bo Selector, then please go and subscribe to Up the Clarets in all departments.
Up the cherries.
I know. I was being sarcastic with that one. You know, sorry, it's just that conversation went on so long, I lost the will to live. Right, moving on. We're talking about
David, 70s. Check it out.
Right, let's move on. So, 5 points we can talk about this the return of the Premier League this weekend. Are you going to behave? Was he having a shit there? Did anybody see? Was he having a shit? Because it sounded like he was.
It was the Mel B impression. It's just funny.
Well, can we move on? Can we fucking move on from Bo Selector? Fucking hate the guy. He's not funny.
He is.
Mentioned him.
Celebrity Juice.
Are you his bum buddy again? Is he another Gary O'Neill here?
Juice. Have you never watched it? Never watched Celebrity Juice?
I don't stand the guy. Can't stand
bloody
him.
Funny
anyway, we're back talking about him. Look, let's just shut him up. Let's go talk football. I think this could be number 1 in a series of 1 because we're going to spend this long on each topic.
This is brilliant. Sorry.
It isn't. I'm absolutely hating this.
Why? I thought this was funny.
No, 47 minutes on one topic.
Right, okay, we'll move
5 of those on Bo fucking Selector.
We do have a laugh, don't we? Yeah.
We do have a laugh. Anybody that knows us, by the way, knows that this is just banter between us. So don't think. We have a love-hate relationship. We love ourselves and hate each other. Yes. Right, here we go.
Can anyone stop Liverpool? Saturday morning.
Can anybody stop Liverpool? Will City get back to winning ways?
Will City get back to winning ways? Yes. Can anybody stop Liverpool? Not at this moment in time. I think Liverpool look very, very good. I think, City will bounce back. This international break has probably helped them. Rodri being out has been an absolute ball ache for them, and he's going to be out for some time still.
What a shame.
Yeah, I feel so sorry. My heart bleeds for him. But with all that money that they haven't spent, it's sat there in a bank account, just waiting to be, spent on some, superstar player like Georgie Kinklatzy. I do feel sorry for him. But moving forwards, I think they'll get back to winning ways, but I don't think anybody will stop Liverpool. I think Liverpool are very, very good. I really do rate Liverpool.
Hello, mate. How are you doing? Hope you are well. Got them at the weekend.
Chelsea.
Of
course you have, yeah. Esco Maresca.
Yeah. So I see this, and I've said this before. I like Liverpool as a team. I think Liverpool are everything that Manchester United aren't. They took them a while, but they accepted that once Man United had taken the mantle, because before Man United, I've said this so many times, Liverpool won everything all the time. Man United came along under
Yeah.
Fergie and they took over, and you can't deny what he did, and it was brilliant at what
He
he
was
did.
moments from the sack,
But
wasn't he?
yeah, he was. But Liverpool waited 23 years to win another trophy. Man United seem to think that, hang on, we'll just get a new manager, it'll all be well. We should be winning things. No, you shouldn't. You've got no God given right. What Liverpool have got and what Manchester United haven't got is basically a stadium that doesn't leak, but B, they've got the foundations there
Yeah.
that to move forward. So when Arnie Slot came in, what he was taking over was a smooth running. Like they hadn't, they'd won the
Mm.
cups and Europe and what have you, but they hadn't won the Premier League wins. But they were taking over a well run, established club. Whoever comes in at Man United, it's like saying, like, I want you to go and build a house, and you're actually asking to build it on a marsh because it's just going to sink every time. Replacing the manager doesn't
Yeah.
work. It worked for Chelsea because they had a good foundations again.
Mm.
It doesn't work for Man United. The new guy isn't going to do very well, despite what Rich and all the other Man United fans say, if
I
those
argue with that.
foundations are not there.
I think he's going to be an improvement on Ten Hag. I think they need to be realistic of where they need to get to. I think it's
Mm.
going to be brick by brick. It's a little bit like Bournemouth, really. Of course, we're starting from a lower perspective from the Manchester United, but it is a case where they're going to have to build it brick by brick to actually move themselves into a position where they can challenge again. And that could take another 10 years. It didn't happen overnight. You didn't click your fingers and Man City were right there. It took some time. Um, you know, so yeah, I think personally, that's where my view is on
I
that.
think as well, a lot of Man United fans
Mm,
only know success. And
yeah,
that's the problem. I was actually speaking. I don't know if you know Luke, the Australian Leicester fan that comes on my channel
yeah,
occasionally. He was having a rant earlier about, and we may well do a show on this because he's saying like Top's got to go, Top's deluded, he hasn't led us to any, and this, and he's made all these bad signings, blah blah blah.
mm,
And I'm like, you're a Millennium fan. You only started supporting us when we won the league. You don't know us much before that.
mm,
We went bust once. We nearly went bust the second time. We went down to the third tier for the only time in our history, and yet you're moaning now. And I think it's
yeah.
because so many fans only know the Premier League years.
Oh,
How many United fans, the younger ones, just weren't there before for Fergie, so they didn't know what it was like.
don't get me wrong. We've got fans now that are going on about, Bill Foley and, the identity of this football club changing. Well, the
Mm,
identity of AFC Bournemouth needs to change. As much as I'd love to stay at Dean Court forever because it is home. It's a stadium where we've grown into. It only had three sides, years ago, back on -17, and we couldn't fill the three fucking sides that we had. But at the same time, we have grown to a level, and there is a lot of fans as well in our fan base that are blaming Bill Foley. Neil Blake, who is like head of the Black Knight football group now, he used to get it in the ear all the bloody time. Eddie Mitchell, God rest his soul, he always got it in the ear as well. People used to moan and moan and moan and moan to the cows come home about him. Yeah, he was a Marmite character. He said what he thought, but I absolutely love Eddie Mitchell. I think he was great chairman. He got the club stable for the first time in
mm.
fucking God knows how long. So yeah, I think it's be careful what you wish for, because you look at and going back a little bit further, we'll go back to my childhood here. So of course, everybody, it's no secret, I was born and brought up in Reading, and of course, when I was born in Reading, they had Roger Smee, and then a guy called John Medeski. Now, John Medeski.
Hey, Luke. Talking of the said Luke.
Said Luke. Hello, Luke. You're right. But John Medeski, people used to moan and moan and moan and moan and moan. He's not spending enough. He's not doing this. He's not doing that. He doesn't want to invest. They got into the Premier League. He didn't want to invest them. What happened? Sold out to a Russian, a guy called Anton Zingaredzic. He, it appeared, didn't have the money. In fact, his dad had the money, and he had the money by other means. So his tenure lasted very, very long. Not. Then it was taken over by a Thai consortium, and now a Chinese bloke that A, hasn't got a pot to piss in, B, has already killed off 2 football clubs, and C, has left them in a rock bottom position where, you know, if it wasn't for their academy, Reading would probably be facing, you know, what Bournemouth did all those years ago, the -17, you know, facing, you know, dropping out of the Football League in the face. You know, it doesn't matter how big a fucking stadium that stadium is. You know, what matters is on the pitch. You know, if Manchester United was so badly run that they lost all their money and ended at the bottom of the Football League, they'd be relegated into the National League, regardless of if they've got a fucking 75,000 seater or, you know, Old Trafford.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's a case of you've got to be careful what you wish for. And to be honest, your previous chairman, you know, Vichy, God rest his soul, you know, he was fantastic. Absolutely fantastic chairman. And I think he's got a challenge on his hands. The main reason being is because Vichy was so successful.
But when Vichy was successful, Top was at his side. Top runs, you know, the King Power. He runs that himself now with his family, and it was Vichy and his family that. And I don't want to get this into a sack the board sort of thing. I know Luke is. No, it's all right. No, we will. Thanks a lot, Luke. Luke is offering to come on, but we'll do that show possibly Friday night. I'm not going to do a separate rant. No, I want to keep that separate. You'll know why.
I'll tell you what, I'll jump on as well on Friday night. We'll have a fucking rant all together.
No, you won't, because you're not a Leicester fan. It's a Leicester program.
Oh, bloody hell. Oh, you know, I would invite you if it was a Bournemouth thing. We could talk about Eddie Mitchell. But
if I invite you on that, we'll probably still be doing this fucking show by then.
So, Luke, keep your eyes peeled. You know, when we're about 49 hours in, you know,
we'll still be there. Look, no. You have to remember where we've come from, you know, and Charlton, you know, they sacked the board, they sacked Alan Kirbishley when they were in the top flight. Where are they now? The football world is littered with clubs that have made that mistake. They've got bad. Let's get rid of Top. Who might come in? The guy that did what he did to Reading, the guy that took Portsmouth down to the back end of beyond. Manchester City, before the current owners, were owned by, funnily enough, the ex-Prime Minister of Thailand, who I think he's now in jail, allegedly. I could be wrong. But you do have to be careful what you wish for. And coming back to what we were saying before, I think Man United have got to realise that if they don't win anything for the next 10 years, so be it. But in those 10 years, it's what you do. And Chelsea did it because, like I say, they change the manager regularly, but they've got a pretty good base. They did have under Abramovich. Watford don't, and Man United are turning into the Watford in red if they're not careful.
No, I did. Watford sack their manager every fucking year. The thing is, Ten Hag needed. I'm sorry, Ten Hag
wasn't there that much longer.
I've got to be honest here. Where Man United went wrong is they should have stood by David Moyes a bit longer. That's where they went wrong, because David Moyes would have turned that around and got them sorted. But instead, what did they do? They panicked. They sacked him.
Mm.
Bosh. They end up
Well,
where
if
they
you look
are
at the managers they've had, they were all successful managers until they came to United.
because they need time.
Yeah,
Alex
that's
Ferguson.
what I'm
Alex
saying.
Ferguson didn't win anything for his
No,
first three,
and that's
four,
what I'm
5 years.
saying about them turning into Watford, because they are not sticking with the managers. I'm just looking here. Liverpool's percentage. Now, this is on Opta's Premier League title winner simulation, and I know you like a bit of simulation late at night, don't you? Liverpool's percentage is 62.3, Manchester City 32.4, and Arsenal 4.8. So Opta pretty much think it's going to be Liverpool's title to lose.
Yeah, I agree with him on that. I think Rodri is a big loss for City. I think Liverpool are by far the best team at the moment in the league. I think Arne Slot's done a fantastic job. I think they haven't interrupted the wheel, so to speak. And I know that sounds like a really weird thing for me to come out with, but they
Well, there's
haven't
nothing more
gone.
weird than you normally come
You
out
know,
with.
they haven't gone boom. Let's do a Nottingham Forest. Let's bring in all these players. Welcome to Liverpool. They haven't done that. What they have done is they've made sensible additions where they need to
Yeah.
make sensible additions. They can
And
fuck off and leave Semenyo alone.
if
If they're
you
thinking
look
of
at
getting him. But
Leicester, when we won the Premier League,
yeah,
Ranieri came in, took on board that we'd just done the greatest Great Escape ever, and built on that, and brought just a
you
few
love
players in.
this story. I can tell. To be honest, I could see Leicester significantly improving because that season, remembering back to that season, because of course we were, fighting to get into the Premier League, which we managed to do that year. It started off, very slowly, and then you got a win against Manchester United, didn't you? And I know that, it. You could tell there was something there. Everything
Yes,
just
we weren't
started
we
to
weren't
click.
getting beaten
Yeah.
3-4-5-0, but we were getting beaten. We were bottom longer than any club that has ever survived. We were there, and we were 9 games from getting relegated. We didn't. We turned it round. And that's another show as to about all of that. But Ranieri came in. Pearson was being sacked. He had the advantage of having the backroom staff that Pearson had left behind. So if he came in and said, "I'm going to play this guy here," Craig Shakespeare, rest in peace, could go over and say, "You're talking fucking shit. He can't play there." So he had that, and he made just a few additions. That's, like I say, it's building on the foundations, and that's what Manchester United don't do. I want to make this point here that Luke's come up with. United have a proper toxic backroom. It's not just managers. How many players have gone to United and turned into donkeys? That is very true. And, like I say, if we go back to before Fergie,
Yeah.
they used to, Man United, and you weren't around then, but what Man United used to do, and this is why they didn't win anything, in my opinion, is that Liverpool had this, they had the boot room, so the managers came through. When the manager left, the assistant manager moved up, and the players came through. Kevin Keegan, I think, spent 6 months in the reserves before he even saw the first team. And these days are thrown in. But what United went and did, they said, he's the best player. We're going to buy him. And they bought him with no thought about, well, will he fit into our plans? Will he fit into into our formation? No, but he's a name. He's a big player. We need to buy him.
Yeah.
You can't do that, and that is basically what they've gone back to doing.
Yeah. No, completely agree. The thing is whoever this Amarim, what they need to do is they need to give him time now. They need to actually give him time to mold a team now that, and like Eddie Howe, you know, at Newcastle. They need to give him time because they need him to, you know, Bournemouth, you know, when Eddie Howe come in, yeah, he did a miraculous job to keep us up, but it wasn't just like click your fingers and it all fucking come together. There was times when it looked really, really, really like it was going to fall to shit. But the thing is Man United now need to persist with this guy. Give him
Well,
the opportunity, give him the tools, and then, you know, because like I
well,
say,
let me
Alex
come on to a
Ferguson,
second point that they
yeah,
make here. It's
two
about
seconds,
this.
2 seconds, hang on. Alex Ferguson, the thing is I think it must have been about 5 years, you know, before that all gelled. And I know that because, you know, did you know that Neil Webb is an actual postman? And he was a postman in the local area where I lived. Um, you know, Neil Webb, who used to play for Manchester United and Nottingham Forest and teams like that. Um, and yeah, I had a brief chat with him, and you know, he mentioned that a long, long time ago. You know, when I was at school, when I was a kid, you know, I found that fascinating because all I'd seen, you know, I didn't remember the shit, you know, that Fergie had to endure and the times when he looked like he was going to get sacked. All I remember from my childhood was Manchester United just being the team to bloody beat because they were that good.
The next point that's made, which carries
Go
on
on.
from that, will Almiron have an immediate impact at Manchester United?
I think he will because I think there is always going to be that bounce. I think, you know, his style, like he showed at Sporting Lisbon when they beat Manchester City the other day, I think, you know, shows that I think he will. I think he'll mix it up. I think there's going to be a lot of players that are going to have to watch their asses, put nicely. Um, but yeah, I think that it's yeah, I think personally there will be that bounce. There will be that bounce. And I think he will put the skids into some of them. What's your thoughts on that? Do you think it will change automatically? Right,
Not
straight away?
to any big deal, no. Yes, I would. You are going to get a new manager bounce. I mean, or you could argue they've already had
Yeah.
that, of course, with Van Nistelrooy. So he's always
Mm.
going to have that new manager bounce. But will he have like? And I'm not saying that bounce. Like we're talking 2 or 3 games. Will he have an impact longer than that in the
He's
immediate
thinking of
start?
Daisy Duke again.
Yeah, no, I don't think he will because I think, like I said to you
Bouncy,
before,
bouncy.
you can't just go into United and change it around in 2 or 3 months. This
Mm.
season's a write-off for them. Right, they might win a cup or something. They might scrape into the Europa League,
They've
but
all
he's
got
not going to
flat
turn
this
it
year.
down to the state that the Man United fans want. So no, he won't. Will he do it over 2 or 3 seasons? I don't think he'll last 2 or 3 seasons if he doesn't.
Mm.
Like I say, if Klopp had been at Chelsea or Klopp had been at Man United, would he have stayed? Would he have been there as long as he was at Liverpool? No, we've said this before, haven't we?
Yeah, completely. Yeah, I completely agree. You completely missed my
No, I was ignoring you because I was
breast
talking.
innuendos,
I
shall we
know.
call them?
I mean, I was ignoring them
Yeah.
totally.
Um,
The question I'm going to ask you though is the problem he's got is he going to lose the fan base already? First thing, I mean, obviously we know if he comes in and they
no,
start
well,
winning,
to be,
they'll love him.
no,
First
they're
thing
not
he's
West
done,
Ham fans.
no, but the first thing he's done is sack Ruud van Nistelrooy, who
If
I've
you
got to
get,
say has
yeah, to
handled
be
the
honest,
whole situation like a
yeah,
gentleman.
to be honest, yeah, he has. You know, Ruud van Nistelrooy has handled it like a gent. But the thing is the other spin side of that is he wants his own team. You know, he wants his own team. And, you know, to be honest, when Andoni Iraola first come in, you know, he wanted his own man. It's only because of the work permits why he couldn't bring him over. So therefore, that's why, you know, Coops and Tommy have, you know, stayed on. So, uh, you know, that sometimes happens. That sometimes happens. Um, it depends whether or not he gets off to a good start. If he gets off to a good start, that'll all be forgotten about. Ruud van Nistelrooy will be thanked by the Man United fans. If he gets off to a shit start, then people are going to go, well, you've got rid of somebody who quite clearly is a legend at this football club. You know, let's be fair. Let's put it another way. Steven Gerrard, was working under Jurgen Klopp. I know he's not, but he was working under Jurgen Klopp. Jurgen Klopp's left the club. Now, Arne Slot comes in and sacks Steven Gerrard. You can't say that somebody's a good manager after a couple of games. It is a prolonged period. And yeah, there is someone. To be honest, it's easier to say that people are bad managers after a couple of games. Let's be fair. Frank de Boer, that went well at Crystal Palace, didn't it? There's a number of managers throughout history where you think, oh, fucking hell, they got off to a terrible start and they deserve to be sacked. So yeah, personally, I think if he gets off to a good start, nobody's going to give two hoots. If he gets off to a shit start, then everybody's going to be moaning until the cows come home, and because of Ruud van Nistelrooy. So yeah, that's where I'm sat with that.
Everyone has won, but who will kick on at the bottom? Let's talk the relegation zone.
Go on.
You might get bored with this because you're not anywhere near this, and I don't think you will be at all this season.
See, that beautiful football club there, are not near the relegation zone. -17. Eddie had a dream, signed all the players on loan, and we went to the top. And yeah, that's Eddie's dream. I can't remember the rest of the fucking words, or I can remember the words, but I don't want to sing them. But just in case I get them wrong, and somebody's going to go, "Oh, you got them wrong," so I might as well say I'm going to get them fucking wrong. But yeah, to be honest, what?
So anyway, back to the bottom three, which we were. Honestly, you know what I said about a sat nav before? If Wayne's watching, this guy fucking needs one. He takes that many bloody left-hand turns off the topic. I'm going to get you a sat nav for Christmas.
I know my way to Southampton.
I tell you what, you could do with the fucking parking meter because you're parking shit.
Oh fucking hell! You had
a parking ticket. Say no more.
I managed to get off it. Do you know what the best way to get off parking tickets is? Is to actually get in contact with the company which car park you parked in, because there was this company that wrote to me called Civil Enforcement Limited. What a lovely name. And I looked at it, so I gave them a call to try and explain the situation. Can you speak to anybody? No. It says press 1 if you want to make a payment. Well, I don't want to make a fucking payment because I shouldn't have had it. Press 2 if a bailiff is at your door. I was like, well, they're not going to come to my door because look at what a fucking size of me. Or press 3 if you want to make an appeal. So press 3, or you have to make an appeal online. The best way to sort these out is to go to the company, which in this case was KFC. Got in contact with them on their web form, and got it sorted, overturned. The Civil Enforcement Limited, if they come back to me and say it, I can go, that's the way to sort it.
There we go.
There we are. Right. There is some advice today. But yeah, as we were going on about the bottom of the league,
yes.
Yeah, I do know my way to Southampton. So let's
right.
start.
Oh, you might not need to because they are 94.8% chance of going down.
Well, we still need to go away to St Mary's.
Ipswich has got. It's easy enough. Ipswich have got. Ipswich have got an 87.1% chance. Leicester have got a 54.6. Wolves are 43.4, and Everton are 17.8. It is looking like the three that came up are going to be the three that go down.
What? So they put Wolves above Leicester?
But don't forget, they've got Gary O'Neill there.
Gary O'Neill, Gary O'Neill,
Gary
O'Neill.
All right, just sing it twice.
Gary
So
O'Neill.
it does. I mean,
Gary
this is
O'Neill.
why we've got to.
Gary
Yeah, we have.
O'Neill.
For fuck's sake! We have it once.
That
I'm getting just pissed off. You did it. Don't drag it out longer than you have to. Jesus fucking Christ! You know when I said welcome along to a one in a series of one? I'm not fucking joking. I can't do this again, mate. I really, really can't.
Oh, you love it. You love it.
No,
Right.
I hate this. I absolutely hate this.
Right. Gary O'Neill.
No, can I finish what I was saying before you started fucking singing? Can I just say, Saturday morning's episode, everybody is cancelled, by the way. I can't do this. I can't do this twice in a week.
You love it.
No, I don't, mate. I don't. Leicester are going to be very, very careful because if we go down, the EFL are waiting for us with open arms like the child catcher in Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. But I can't see us not going down. Wolves, I think, will change the manager. But even if I don't, Wolves, look, the 2 wins we've got, we were lucky we don't deserve. Ipswich, they've just got the win. Look, Southampton are dead and buried. I think it's
Saints are terrible.
What 2 are going down with them?
I've got to be honest. I've got to be honest. I think, like you say, Southampton are goners. They're goners. I cannot see them giving a hope in hell of actually ever getting out of this, because the thing is I just don't think they're strong enough squad wise. I think their manager, and I was actually speaking to Yasmin, a good friend who's Southampton fan, and she turned round and she said 0 shots on target. And that says it all. You know, if you can't get a shot on target against Wolves, you have not got a hope in fucking hell of staying up. I'm sorry. So, Southampton, as much as I'd quite like to see them stay up, I can't see them staying up.
No. I think that's about the first thing we've agreed on tonight, that they are down. Ipswich, I think I just think it's Ipswich and Leicester to go down. I really do.
I can't see you do it. I can't see. I'm actually standing by what I'm saying here. I can't see Leicester going down. I think you've got just a little bit too much about
even with Cooper. Look at the games we've won this season. Southampton, but we were 2-0 down. Let's be honest with you. They'd have had their shooting boots on, like we say. They'd have been, they'd have been 3 or 4 ahead at half time. We beat you. Sorry to mention that, but we were bloody lucky. You literally threw everything at us.
Yeah,
you threw everything at us, and
give it
the woodwork and what have you. So that wasn't a convincing win either. There's nothing I've seen this season that says we are going to stay up.
Another couple of weeks later, I do agree with you, Chris. Another couple of weeks later, we would have beaten you, hands down, because Evan Nielsen wasn't hitting the target. He was
you should have done that day as well, though.
Yeah. So, personally, I can see where your logic is, but I still think you've got a little bit too much about you. Let's go on to Ipswich. Let me discuss Ipswich first.
Okay, yeah.
I think Ipswich, I think they are the Luton Town of this season. They've got a lot of fight. They've got a lot of huff and puff, but they're not going to blow the house down. We know that. We can see that. And I think they're really going to struggle to stay up. So, again, it's going to be a real shame, but I can't see them staying up. Now, I've given my thoughts on Leicester because I think you've got just a little bit too much about you. I think Jamie Vardy will pop up at the right times. Let's look at the other two that are down there. Wolves. Now, Wolves, like I said, Gary O'Neill, let's put him to one side for a moment. I don't think they will change their manager. The main reason being why they won't change from Gary O'Neill is because he has been handed the most shitty stick you could have found. They've sold Ruben Neves, they've sold Gilman, he's gone to West Ham, sold Raul Jimenez. They have sold the core best players in that squad, and he is still getting a half tune out of them. That job is the hardest in the Premier League this year, apart from probably Southampton. I think that is probably the hardest job in the Premier League because the Wolves fans expect that. I've watched, Talking Wolves, Always Wolves, and I followed their, of course, because of Gary O'Neill, and they're all very much like Gary O'Neill. The style isn't great, and yeah, that is true. The style wasn't great here. Um, it was ugly but effective. Let's say it was ugly but effective, um, and I think it's going to be like that again. And I think that's what it has been like so far. But Fosun have significantly weakened that football club. And the reason being is because I don't know if you look into Chinese law, but I speak to a guy called Mike Gao who is very,
Funnily
very
enough, it's not at the top of me reading
good.
list. No,
But there is major problems of getting money out of China into the general circulation of other countries. So getting money out of China to bring into the UK is very, very difficult at the moment. And it's probably only going to get a little bit more difficult because thanks to Vladimir Putin and what is going on at the moment, and, say no more. That's probably why, when I spoke to that guy on the train, he said, well, that's why it's so important to have those memories. But let's park that bit. We've already covered that. The side I think that are really going to be in trouble are Everton. Now, there is nothing. They're a very weird team. They're a very weird team. They'll probably just do enough, in most seasons. But this one, it's their last season at Goodison. There is a real pressure now on that football club to stay up because they don't want to be playing in that new Bramley Moor Dock Stadium, which looks. Have you seen the pictures of it, Chris?
yeah,
It looks absolutely fucking fantastic, to be honest. It will be quite nice for a Tuesday night against Stoke, won't it? But next season. But joking aside, they're in a big quandary now, Everton, and there's one reason why. Sean Dyche. Now, Sean Dyche plays a certain way, and you take Sean Dyche out of Burnley and look at what happened to him because he's a long ball, put the ball over, get it, the heads on it. That's what Sean Dyche does well. Sean Dyche. Oh, Max is on. Max is in. Do you know what? Max absolutely hates Everton. Go, Max. Have your say about Everton in the chat. Have your say about Everton in the chat. And Mr. Dore, I bet he's well chuffed with his season so far. Nobody ever
yeah.
expected that.
All
Fucking hell.
banter aside, Mr. Dorr, well done, mate. Well
Yeah,
done.
I tell you what, that is like walking into a club, thinking, oh yeah, Sonia from EastEnders is over there, and Margot Robbie turns up. Um, but yeah, going back to Everton, I think Everton are in big, big trouble this season because they sack Sean Dyche. They now have players that play that Sean Dyche way. Those players are going to be very, very difficult to turn into something else apart from Sean Dyche, that style of football. The only man that I could see going in there and making it a success, if they get rid of Dyche, is David Moyes. And it looks like David Moyes will probably be on his way back to West Ham anyway. So Everton might be stuck with Sean Dyche. That is really it's a throw of the dice put nicely. I honestly, hand on heart, Chris, I don't know what way it's going to go. Really, that.
No.
But
There's
I
some
think
good managers out there, and I think what a lot of clubs, and I'm surprised no club has got rid of a manager over this break, over this international break. But I think there's some good managers out there. But I think that they're going to start looking and thinking, look, if we don't make a move soon, he could be poached. And I think there are a lot of clubs, and I know you're saying you don't think Wolves will get rid of Gary O'Neill. And look, all joking aside, you have seen a team perform under Gary O'Neill. Obviously, I haven't. So I will take your
don't get me wrong.
thing
There was a lot of Bournemouth fans that were saying that Gary O'Neill they
Yeah.
wanted to see
No.
gone.
But moving
But
on from Gary O'Neill.
yeah.
Moving on from Gary O'Neill. Otherwise, we'll be here another hour. But no, joking aside, look, Southampton could get rid of their man. Well, in fact, any of the bottom clubs could. West Ham down. Man United have got rid of their
They
manager.
will.
Above that, you've got
will.
Bournemouth. So you're not going to get rid of yours, obviously.
No,
but
no
when you
way.
go from west, you've got West Ham, Leicester, Everton, Ipswich, Palace, Wolves, Southampton. Any one of those 7 teams could get rid of their manager. And there's probably not 7 half-decent managers out there. And I think a lot of clubs will be looking and thinking, if we don't make a move soon, somebody will.
I think we can probably agree on one thing, and I'm going to say it, and I'd be very surprised if you go against this. The next Premier League manager to be sacked will be Julian Lopetegui at West Ham.
Yes, but
I can't see.
It's not the one that I want to be the next one to be sacked.
Well, because we got him in a couple of weeks, so I don't want him to be sacked, but I think he will.
No, but you can probably guess who the next manager I want to be sacked.
In fact,
sorry, Mike, you're quite right. Sorry, Ipswich will not. You're quite right. Ipswich will not get McKenna. We'll get rid of McKenna. Sorry, I should have taken Ipswich out of that. I do apologise. Ipswich are the exception. That they won't get rid.
I tell you what, I was watching Talk TV, and I was watching Jeremy Carl's show on Talk TV, and there he was. He was sat there, and somebody come on from Talksport, and he was talking about, of course, we're both Talksport fan channels here, and he was talking about, the games, and of course, Jeremy Carl is a West Ham United fan.
Yeah.
And he turned around, he said, I hope Newcastle batter us, because I want to see the end of Julian Lopetegui. I can't see. See, that's another be careful what you wish for moment. Because
yes, it is, and it's a weird thing to say that you hope your team will get beaten, but I think he says that with the knowledge that there are 3 worse clubs than West Ham. If West Ham stick with Lopetegui, Kajagugu, whatever he's called, they will still not. He will still not go down, right? They're not because there are 3 worse teams than them, and I have to say, Leicester are one of them.
I tell you what, I'll throw something out there now.
Well, no, right? Shall we move on because we're an hour and a half.
You don't like Cooper. You don't like Cooper.
No.
So this weekend,
because like I say, we're an hour and a half, and I want to get another couple of things in.
This weekend, you're playing Chelsea. Now, would you be happy? If you can't win that game because you want to see the end of Cooper's reign, would you be happy seeing Leicester get banged up 9-0, just to see the back of him?
No, of course, no. I don't know whether it was 9-0 or 1-0. I think the loss would, it's the performance, and we haven't seen the performances this season, But I want to talk Bournemouth if I can.
Go on.
Because there's a big thing now. I don't know if anybody reads The Athletic. Please do subscribe, because it is a brilliant, brilliant read. But they've
Yeah,
been doing a lot of things about Premier League owners and a lot of things about, I think over half are now American, including Bournemouth,
yeah,
obviously,
Bill
with an
Foley.
American owner. But it
Yeah,
says here the Premier League owners who has invested the most. And I'm not going to compare because obviously, Chelsea, the money they've put in is a lot more than, say, Bournemouth have put in. But what I want to say is looking at Bournemouth, and give me your thoughts on this, but let me finish before you jump in. Bournemouth,
he has to say that.
200. Well, I know you would. No, and in fairness, that wasn't being sarcastic because if the roles were reversed,
Cheeky
I,
gits.
I would want to jump in as well. What I'm saying is, let me finish and then reply to the whole bunch.
It's like that. It's like that question on the chase, isn't it? Where somebody, and he's reading out the question. Oh, Bradley Walsh is reading out the question, and blah, 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 and somebody goes, "Oh yeah, yeah," and it's like, what is this question about? It could be fucking anything.
So Bournemouth have spent 213 million. You're
Yeah,
owned by Black Knight
yeah.
Football. Bought you in 2022. They bought them. This was off Maxim, whatever he's called, Denim.
Maxim Denim.
And loved his jeans, by the way. Bought 120 million. Since then, Black Knight have put in 93 million. Now, this is what it
Yes.
says about Bournemouth. Bournemouth might look like Premier League's plucky underdog, but their fairy tale rise has been underwritten by men with deep pockets. Maxim Denim, a Russian-born businessman, funded the climb to the Premier League, and the subsequent sale of Bournemouth to Bill Foley, head of Black Knight Football, has seen the pattern continue. Foley paid 120 million when buying Bournemouth from Denim less than 2 years ago. Black Knight Football has since invested in French club Lorient, Scottish side Hibernian, and Auckland of the Australian A-League as part of a growing multi-club group. The opening season saw Black Knight invest heavily. Bournemouth's last set of published accounts detailed that 25.5 million of shareholder loans have been converted into equity since their publication, as well as a further 67.2 million being loaned from parent company Turquoise. The 92.7 million of funding already comes close to eclipsing Denim's investment during his 11 years at the helm of Bournemouth. That commitment includes the construction of a state-of-the-art training facility. I've got
Yes.
to say, fucking brilliant owners.
Yeah, to be honest, I think we have, we have been so lucky, for years beforehand. We'd had some really good owners, like I say, on the way up, and also in the difficult years, like Trevor Watkins, was an excellent owner. James Gordon, it's Gordon, um, but yeah, like Trevor Watkins, he was a very good chairman, but didn't have the deep pockets, that Maxim and of course Bill have, and Eddie Mitchell, but again, limited, limited. Um, a lot of people have said this in the past, that it's not a fairy tale story at AFC Bournemouth. I think it's the biggest load of bollocks that anybody could come out with. This football club was on its arse, minus 17. You know, for years to actually get out of League Two, we had to spend next to nothing because we couldn't fucking spend next to nothing because of the transfer embargoes. So we managed to scrape through that. Then, of course, Eddie Mitchell come on a lot more heavily. He made the club sound sufficient, so it could wash its own face. Um, and then, of course, Maxim put in a little bit of investment. And there was all this talk when we first went up back in 2015 that, oh, Bournemouth have bought their way to this position. And it's the biggest load of bullshit ever. The biggest load of bullshit ever. You think Callum Wilson, I'm on my soapbox now. You got me.
Yeah,
Um,
no, talking about Bournemouth, that's fine.
yeah, but the thing is, Callum Wilson was our biggest signing. Mark Pugh, we signed from Hereford United for fucking peanuts. Harry Arter signed from Woking, again peanuts. Yeah, he hasn't done very well since, but by the by, he did well for this football club. Charlie Daniels, Steve Cook, Simon Francis. all journeymen who were rejected by other clubs. Steve Cook had no luck at Brighton. And this is the whole story, is that we didn't spend ridiculous amounts. We got into the Premier League and our spending was relative to actually stay there. And Eddie wasn't given a huge war chest. He spent cleverly. You look at Nathan Ake. Nathan Ake, great piece of business. We didn't break the fucking bank to get him. To be honest, we did make some poor signings. Jordan Ibe, fucking nightmare of a signing. I quite liked Slice Moose. He wasn't an expensive signing, but at the end of the day, I think he kind of went off the rails as well, like Jordan did. But we spent within our means. We went down. We had to sell Nathan Ake. We had to sell Callum Wilson. If we hadn't gone up,
you said you went down, and I thought you were going back to Margot Robbie.
I wish. But we went down, and we had to sell, players. And that first season under Jason Tyndall should have probably done a bit better. Arnaut Danjuma was excellent. Jason Tyndall is definitely I like Jason. I love Jason's bits. He's brilliant, but he is a coach. There is managers and then there's coaches. Eddie Howe is a manager. He is, as much as you wouldn't think listening to him, he is very authoritative. He is very strict. He's very disciplined in his own self as well. And then you've got Jason Tyndall. Jason, lovely man, gets on with all the players, a man of the people, a little bit like Steve Fletcher. You could put Steve Fletcher, as assistant manager.
But going back
coach.
to,
He's already
saying about
the point I'm making here though is that
there is one.
Yeah, we was relegated, and we had to sell players and then had to come back up, being sensible again. Being sensible again. It was only when Bill Foley come in did we really invest heavily in that squad, and I think we're due it. I think we're due
even before, even when you had Maxim there,
we didn't spend.
and
We didn't break
when
back.
Let me finish. Even when you had Maxim there, and even when you had Eddie Mitchell there, you were spending money that a club like, say, Newport could only dream of. And Leicester fans will say that we didn't buy the league. Compared to Manchester City, compared to Chelsea, no, we didn't. But compared, if Rochdale will look at us like we look at Manchester City, so it's all relative.
I don't buy that. I don't buy that, Chris.
Well, so Bournemouth are not from Eddie Mitchell moving forward. Bournemouth have not been any better off than, say, Newport County or Accrington Stanley.
Let's go back to League Two.
Yeah, I'm not arguing about that. You were minus 17. You were 17. A nod away from going out of business.
I'm sure. What I'm saying back in memory to that time,
what I'm saying is, from
our
Eddie
wage
Mitchell
bill was
onward,
lower than Morecambe's. Fucking Morecambe.
From Eddie Mitchell onwards, when Eddie Mitchell came in, he managed you well. And this is why I said from Eddie Mitchell onwards, fuck League Two. That. But Eddie Mitchell onwards, you had the money, because Eddie Mitchell wasn't exactly a pauper. No, not saying how he earned his money, but Carlisle, Swindon, Reading, all those clubs, Newport, Accrington, Cheltenham, they would have loved to have had an Eddie Mitchell in charge. Now, I'm not saying you bought the money or you had big money, but compared to those clubs, you did. We're not a Manchester City, but if Rochdale or Oldham look at us, to them, we will look like a Manchester City because, we have got money behind us.
No, Chris, we were probably in that same boat. We were in that same boat as the likes of Swindon. Huddersfield were in the same boat as well as us.
But not after Eddie Mitchell came in.
No, Eddie Mitchell made us sound.
Yes.
We
Yeah.
could wash our own face. The money
Yeah.
coming into the club wasn't, we weren't overspending. We weren't
No. But
overspending at that point.
Morecambe now are not in that position. That they're worse off
Well,
than you
Morecambe are
were
on their
when Eddie
flats
Mitchell came in.
on their arse. They're probably worse off than
Yeah.
we were in
Can you get
League
what I'm
Two.
saying? When Eddie Mitchell came in, and I
Mm.
don't give a shit about before because you were up Swans Creek
I
without
don't
a
no,
paddle.
I don't get it, because at the end of the day, the thing is
So Eddie Mitchell
Swindon.
didn't pump any money in then.
He put money in that was
So that
sensible.
yeah. So he put
Swindon,
all right, sensible,
Swindon
sensible.
were fucking. That's why they're in the shit now. Is because they again have pumped in a lot of money over a prolonged period of time. You look at the likes of Swindon. Huddersfield were down there that season. When we got into the playoffs, it was because we spent sensibly. We weren't
Yes.
spending any more
But
than
what I'm
Swindon.
saying
We
is, a
were
lot of
we.
those clubs,
I tell
Oldham,
you,
Bury, they can't spend at all. You've got to accept that once Eddie Mitchell came in, and I'm not saying you were
there was
suddenly then
clubs that were
Manchester
poorer.
City.
Yeah, there was
But
clubs that were poorer, but
yeah,
Swindon weren't.
exactly. That's the
Swindon weren't.
point I'm
Huddersfield
making.
weren't. They were probably on par. We
No,
were
but I'm
on
not
par.
saying about Huddersfield. That's not one of the. You could say that Chelsea weren't poorer. I'm not mentioning
The
those
season,
clubs. What
the
I'm
season we
mentioning.
went up, to the Championship, Yeovil Town come through the fucking playoffs.
Right, let me mute him so I can get my point across here. Because what I'm saying is that before Eddie Mitchell came in, you were up shit creek without a paddle. Well, you were. You're shaking your head. But before he came in, you were on minus 17. The guy who owned, I can't think of his name, that, Bournemouth guy, he nodded to keep that club going. If he hadn't nodded in that press conference, you'd have gone out of business. What I am saying is that once you can talk because you're on mute, mate, so you won't come in. But when Eddie Mitchell came in, he put some money into the club. Oh, so he didn't put any money into the club at all then. He put you on a sound financial basis. Yes, he did. And no, you weren't suddenly rich, but you were better off than other clubs. That is what I'm saying. And if you're saying you weren't better off than other clubs, then you're a liar. There we go.
Eddie Mitchell did put some money into us, but yeah, there was clubs in that league that we were better off. But you look at League One now. You look at League One now. You have got the likes
You're
of
not in
you.
League
You
One
got
now, though. You're now in the
yeah.
Premier League.
But what I'm trying to say is we weren't the top spenders. Eddie Mitchell didn't go and throw money about like willy nilly. We were stable. We were self sufficient. Yes, Jeff
You
Mostyn
put money
saved the
in.
club.
Jeff
Yeah,
Boston,
saved
that
the
was
club
it.
at that point.
Yes.
But at the
Yeah.
same time, Eddie Mitchell did not, throw a load of money at it to get us up. And this is what really irritates and gets my goat, to be honest, about all this, is because a lot of people say, oh, we bought our way to success. We didn't buy our way to success. It was cleverly managed. It was cleverly managed. You couldn't say that Yeovil Town bought their way to success because they were the fucking lowest wage, had the lowest wage bill in League One that season, and they went up with us. So that's the point I'm trying to make. The only time, to be honest, Maxim did put a little bit of money in, and sufficient, a significant amount of money, I would say. He's probably the second season in the championship, but there was other clubs in there that were spending ridiculous amounts. You mentioned Reading. They were spending
Yeah.
absolutely shitloads.
They were, but there was
You
also
know,
clubs that weren't able to spend that.
Derby County, they were
So,
spending
yeah.
shitloads.
So, but when Maxim came in, the fact that he was able to afford to put millions in put you over and above a lot of other clubs. Yes, I'm not saying you were the biggest, and I'm not saying you bought it. What I'm saying is that when the owners came in, and you've got good owners and you've got bad owners, but you had the
We've had
funding that
great
other
owners.
clubs couldn't.
We've had great owners since Eddie Mitchell and Jeff Mostyn. I'll say that till I'm blue in the face, but we haven't bought our way to it. What we are doing now is we are significantly investing, but there is that fear that it could all go to shit at some point. And, all it takes is one season for it to go to shit. All it'll take is one season for it to go to shit.
No, tell me about it. It's what happened to us. If you look at it,
What, with Bodger and Badger?
yeah, one season, and even before that, it just yeah,
Yeah.
you only need one bad season. Look, you had one bad season when you went down and you came back again.
Well, to be honest, I'll get on my soapbox about that season because that really pissed me off. That was the COVID season. And of course, we were in great form before COVID. We were 1-0 up against eventual winners Liverpool. We drew against Chelsea just before COVID kicked off. When we come back, I think the preparation from Eddie Howe, I will admit, and I'm sure Eddie will admit, looking back, was poor. I think the preparation for Project Restart from ourselves was poor, very poor. But by the by, I think there was also something as well that Ryan Fraser had already admitted that season that he hadn't given 110%. And then he didn't sign that contract extension because he wanted that move to Arsenal. That move to Arsenal that never fucking happened, Chris. Because can you remember Ryan Fraser playing for Arsenal?
No, I can't remember Ryan Fraser playing for anybody, to be honest with you.
Well, to be honest, he is. Well, there's lots of choice words I could use for him, but we'll probably get barred if I use them. Maybe we should pass it over to David Coop for his thoughts on Ryan Fraser.
But you, I could say, as a Bournemouth fan, and this all came from the fact that we're saying like you've had that many millions put into the club, and as you stay up, and as the longer you stay up, the more funding will go in, and I think you've got to have that. But what I'm saying is now, it isn't little Bournemouth anymore.
We are still Little Bournemouth.
No,
Chris.
you say that
We
again
are.
because we had Little Leicester.
We are.
Are we still Little Leicester?
No, because look at the size of your stadium. Look at your history now. Yeah, we are getting bigger. We are getting bigger with every day. With this, these partnerships, we are getting a bigger club. The only time you could say that we're not Little Bournemouth is when we're not playing at the current Dean Court anymore, or that Dean Court, which would be my preference, is improved upon. But hand on heart, you've been to Dean Court. We couldn't extend that current stadium. There's no way of doing it. There is absolutely no way of extending that current stadium. So what they're
you
going to
can't.
do
You're
is
tied
build
it,
it.
and you've got a council that doesn't support you either.
Well, no, the council, I believe, we can use that ground in that car park. That's where it's going to go in a bit of a diagonal shape. So imagine the back of the TED shed, which is, the stand where I sit with the temporary marquee up. What will happen is the training ground at Dean Court is behind that. So it's behind that to the left a bit. Say if you're walking out of the TED shed. What their plan is to do is to knock down that current training ground, because of course we'll be at Camford Magna, and then build it in a diagonal from that point. So a diagonal over. Now, what that will do is it will give tons of room, for expansion, facilities around the ground. They'll probably keep some of the trees and things like that around there, make it quite a nice ground to go to. I'm sure Bill Foley will do it up, make it a real proper stadium. I can see how it would work. The current stadium, Eddie Mitchell said to me that he could get it up to 22,000. And believe it or not, Jeff Mostyn, who was the man that you refer to, he was the one that told him to remove those details from the internet at the time. Now, it's on the podcast that I did with Eddie Mitchell. That's the only time when you can say that we're not little old Bournemouth anymore, because we are still a little club. If Bill Foley, heaven forbid, was to pull out of the club or something happens to him, remember he's 77 years old, so touch wood, he'll be around for a lot longer. But if something happened and whoever takes over doesn't want to invest in this football club, just wants to get rid of it, we could easily be back to where we were all those dark years ago, back in League Two, because the taps have been turned off with that ground. By building a new stadium, and remember, it's not owned by the football club, that stadium, it's owned by Structure Dean. And the fourth stand, that is temporary. By building a new stadium.
That has been temporary for about 10 seasons, though.
Yeah, it has been. Yeah. It's like, like I said to you earlier on, we had a three-sided ground like Oxford United do at the moment, and we couldn't fill the fucking three sides that we had. So, there's a lot of hanger-ons that have come and joined the club. But that's how it grows. That's how football grows.
Mike's made a point here, and this is what I was going to say with Leicester, because we don't class ourselves as little old Leicester anymore. How can an established Premier League club with clear financial backing accept to be classed as little? I mean,
the stadium's massive.
Sorry?
Your stadium's massive. It's a great stadium to go to.
32,000. It's certainly not in the top 5 in the Premier League. If they're not,
no, it's not. But it doesn't need to be, Chris. It doesn't need to be.
No, but what I'm saying is, it's how you clash little. I mean, if you're saying little because of the size of the stadium, then yes, Bournemouth are. But can you call any?
We haven't got
at
much.
At what point do Bournemouth stop being? Oh, this club that nearly went bust, minus 17. We're now in the Premier League. When you've been there as long as you are, then you're an established Premier League club.
We are an established Premier League club, but it could go so fucking badly.
Yes, it could for anybody. It could for anybody. Everton,
it could do. Everton,
Southampton were an established Premier League club, and then they their owner died.
Well, to be honest, Southampton, like you say,
sold it.
Reading, Derby, Sheffield Wednesday, all those clubs are being mismanaged. Wigan Athletic.
But what I'm saying is that could be anybody. Gets a new owner, Glazers, and the club's mismanaged and it goes down. That could happen to anybody.
The thing is, it's what Mike's saying there. I do agree. Like I was saying earlier on, Man United could be relegated out of the Football League. It doesn't matter how big Old Trafford is. If they're badly managed, then that's what can happen. However, what Bournemouth have got, and the big problem, I've spoken to Kieran Maguire about this, is that our income, match day income, is a lot lower than any other club in the Premier League because the size of the ground. Now, Bill Foley is trying to increase that. That's why a stadium is an important factor. Leicester will be, even though you've just been promoted back, you will be making more match day revenue than Bournemouth. Probably double, maybe even triple what we make.
What's your stadium capacity at the moment?
11,000.
11,000. So we will probably we should, if you're doing it roughly, be making 3 times as much as you.
It might not work out as that because, of course, I can imagine Leicester's tickets are a little bit less. You could go down the Fulham model where they've increased their stadium but charging £100 a ticket for that new stand. That's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Look,
I know it's a rich area, but
we're going to end it there because we've been on this nearly 2 hours now. So, look, 2 channels here.
Yes.
UTIC. No, oh,
Up the cherries in all departments. UTC
UTC IAD.
Yes.
You can find it on YouTube and all the social medias. LTID TV on all YouTube and all the medias. And we're both on Blue Sky, the new Twitter.
Yes, we are.
say.
Yeah, you
Yes.
can find us. It's the same handle on Blue Sky as it is on Twitter. As well as YouTube.
Which
Everything
is exactly what I just said. But thanks for repeating it.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
everybody, thank you very much. That's it. It's time to go. We will see you all soon. When's your very quickly? Oh no! Why ever say that to you? When's your next show?
Yeah. So we have got a very, very special cherry picking coming up.
Just say when your next show is.
Well, there should be one tomorrow, which is our opposition preview show. So
there you go. And then we will have the prediction show tomorrow at 7 on ours. Everybody, thanks very much. Thanks, Craig, and we will see you all soon. Bye now. You know